Welcome. My name is Lauren Reed. I'm the CEO of MHEDA, here with a few of our board members to discuss the 2026 material handling business trends. I'd like to welcome Lori Palmer with Rev Storage Systems, Darren Boyk with Advanced Equipment Company, and Steve Strength with Gregory Pull Lift Systems. Welcome and thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
While consolidation isn't new, industry consolidation in material handling has certainly accelerated in the last year or so. We have private equity firms coming into the space, manufacturers and distributors buying up companies and growing through acquisition. That can obviously bring some opportunity and can bring some challenges. I'd love to hear how industry consolidation is impacting your business. Darren, do you want to start us off?
Oh yeah, I can talk about it a little bit. I said the consolidation. It's interesting because there's been so many players that relationships of people that we know in our space through the years have come up. Then COVID hit, and nobody knew what's going to happen with their business or with the economy or what's going to happen. But it really launched off the automation push, and everything just kind of went crazy, and everybody started having some of their best years that they've ever had in 2020, 21, 22, 23. And so, but in turn of that, it's like, hey, if you're starting to age out your company that you own and you want to sell it, your numbers look pretty good right now. It's a good time to sell. And you got all these private equity hearing about all this automation that's happening. So it's been a lot of private equity buying, people buying others, just trying to in that space. And it's difficult because you could have some small-time person in your area or something like that you weren't too concerned with, now all of a sudden get bought by somebody else that has a little bit more power, and now all of a sudden they become somebody credible and everything in your region, in your area. So it can be a little bit scary and everything with that. But again, I know we always kind of fall back on our relationship with a customer. You gotta have those strong relationships and strong ties. Otherwise, you're gonna be opening the door for somebody else to come in. The other thing that I think it hurts is not just with the competition. It can happen with our vendors and suppliers that we work with. They may get bought by somebody else, and it could be a competition may buy them. It could be an automation house. It could be a controls house that maybe you did some business with them, was working with you. Now all of a sudden your competition bought them, and now they're building control panels and cabinets and doing PLC work for them. And you're like, okay, we had this great relationship. We worked out for years with them, and now all of a sudden, and they're saying, oh yeah, you can still buy from us and do things with us, but we're always like a little cautious about that. It's like, well, okay, I don't know how much I want to share with who we're doing business with and how much and all that kind of stuff with them. So it's kind of a little bit of a scary space out there with that. But again, all I can think about is to combat it is people still buy from people, and you got to have that relationship with that customer, because that's your best defense, is having that strong relationship.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Darren.
It's really well put. Yeah. I agree with exactly what you said, because it is scary, because private equity companies come in with a lot of money, mm-hmm. and they're able to do a lot of things that we're not able to still do. But it really does come down to the relationships you have with your customers, the relationships you have with your employees, your own team, because your team is who sells your company. And as long as you have a strong team and they're not afraid of the competition, I think it's just like any other competition, be it private equity or not.
Yeah. A point to that as well is, MHEDA is obviously comprised of both suppliers and distributors, but when we're talking about the distributor space, the integrator, the dealer space, you don't have a product that you're making that you fall back on in theory, right? It's your people, and those people are the folks that are forming the relationships that you say are so important, that we know are so important. And so when private equity comes into the space, that can also really shake up some of the internal relationships that we have. And the people that make the business run might feel a bit of a threat as well. Steve, what's been your experience within consolidation?
Private equity, when you think of what they're in it for, they're in to buy a company, figure out a way to make it a little bit more valuable and flip it.
Yeah.
Right.
So yes, the
Right.
relationships are challenged right from the start. They're not looking at maybe necessarily long-term ROI or cost of ownership or efficiency gain to the extent that it was looked at prior to their involvement. So they do make it a little bit more challenging. And then one of the other challenging things we see is, they come in with a lot of money and a lot of muscle, to your point. So when they want to finance a large project or replace a large fleet, and you ask for some financial statements, or are they willing to guarantee a transaction, they essentially look at you and say, no, take it or leave it. I'm not giving you financials and we're not signing on, because in the back of their mind, they know that if things go well in 3 years, we're not even going to be a part of this arrangement. We're going to flip this company and move on. So it does pose some challenges, and then you do see some turnover with some of your best customers as well, because they start to lose a voice and they start to see that decisions are being made that are not necessarily in the long-term interest, either in the people or the local facilities. So we have seen some challenges and turnovers there. The flip side is we have to look at it as an opportunity, because that's what's happening in the marketplace. So when I look at some of our customers that have been acquired or absorbed into a larger company, these companies are now, where you have a good relationship, they're now saying, Gregory Poole, we just added 17 facilities across the country under this acquisition of XYZ company. We want you to help us get our fleet under control. So what we're seeing now is where we used to be in the lift truck industry, it was largely territorial in nature. You had your area of responsibility. What we're seeing that the country's opening up now, where they're asking our people, I need you to go to visit these sites in Texas or California or Nevada and go out there and meet the managers and understand their needs and come back to me and tell me what would make that facility more profitable or efficient. So it is opening the door to a larger number of customers or locations that we can do business with. So, you can try to avoid it. It's the lesser of two evils. In some cases, you have to embrace it and say, where can I maximize my relationships and leverage our offerings to grow my own business based on that acquisition?
Really, just like any of our trends, year after year, you can look at it as a challenge and something that negatively affects your business, or you can flip it and look for opportunities to allow your business to evolve and change. And that's certainly happening within industry consolidation.
I've seen some of it. Sometimes it can be kind of beneficial. If I try and look at it from a positive standpoint for us, some of those companies that become larger, they become slower to move. So now it's like we're a smaller, more agile type company. We can turn on a dime if we have to. Where they're in some big battleship, that's going it's going to take them a while to get turned back around to get to where they're headed. So it's like we have that advantage where we can turn on a dime, move faster, react quicker, and service them better in that manner to help with that.
If you can help them, Darren, I think it's great, because those private equity companies are continuing to look for other acquisitions. Mm-hmm. So if we do the right thing by them, hey, I had a great experience with Gregory Poole. They helped me significantly with this prior company I bought and turned. You can build some relationships there too.
That's true.
Very true.
So again, lots of opportunity, but many challenges, and it just depends on which way you look at it. And focusing on the customer, focusing on their needs, long-term planning, being able to meet short-term requests, it's all in that relationship and your ability to service them as a provider.